Welcome back, everybody, to my interview series. Today, I've got the Swiss Army knife Kevdog with me. Going to talk about his experience in the esports scene. So, Kevdog, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you, MrBepic?
I'm doing fine myself. I'm happy to get to hear about your experiences. So, the way I like to start these interviews off is by you kind of introducing yourself. So, just kind of give everybody the spiel about who Kevdog is.
Kevdog has been the mission statement, I guess is the best way I could put it. Ever since I was 13 years old, I've been working in Rocket League Esports behind the scenes doing coaching and management for probably a little org that you might have not known of called Glacier Esports back in
Hmm.
2017. That time frame right there, I started getting my experience in tournament operations with playing with Rockets, one of the best tournament organizations in Rocket League, or
Oh.
was one of the best in tournament organizations in Rocket League. I got to keep that fact. And it's also just been a mission statement to excel in almost anything I've done and just make an impact on wherever I can, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, the biggest impact, like if you're looking at all of the things you've done, I think management is what shows up the most on your resume, at least your Wikipedia page, especially. I was taking a glance at that, and it's just so many different teams. So you've been managing in the bubble scene for just over 4 years. You started with Sway Esports. Talk about that experience and that journey.
It was very fun because that was kind of the start of where I started getting like actual management skills. Because when you're working in the amateur scene with like rank C, rank D, and maybe even breaching into rank B, six man's rank if you know that, you kind of don't do too much besides just scheduling scrims. But when you're part of an organization, when you're part of that, it's much more about communication. It's much more about trying to make sure that everybody is happy and that if there is any breakdowns, you're the kind of the centerpiece or kind of the person that is trying to fix everything on top of all the normal team management skills that you need to have.
So you've managed, I counted up 14 Liquipedia registered rosters. How have you adapted really to all those different teams throughout your time managing?
It's been a struggle. You gotta say that at the least. When you're managing so many different players and so many different rosters, it comes down to just what do they want. I think a lot of people that I've managed that can contest to this is the first thing I ask whenever I join a roster is, what do you guys want from me? That's
Hmm.
basically how it is because every player is different. Every player has different needs, different wants out of their manager, out of their coach, and everything. So as long as you're able to stay on the lines of that, you should be at least decently good as long as you're pretty active. A lot of people nowadays haven't really seen my management work because I haven't been doing it all that much. My
Hmm.
latest roster was Lunar, Wonder Mike, and Rapid. Shout out those three. They're amazing, all individually, and great players, all individually as well. But it does get a little bit stressful at sometimes because what you want to do doesn't always line up with the players.
Hmm. And you talked about it as well, working under the banner of some orgs. And I know you've worked with free agent teams as well. I'm kind of curious, what's the biggest difference between working with an org and working with a free agent team?
The communication,
Hmm.
communicating between just the players and looking out for organizations if they're good enough. Like absolute units or empty space. Two of the rosters, probably two of my favorite rosters to manage because I just had a bunch of fun with all those players. Looking for an organization was extremely difficult because you weren't at that rank X level. You were at that rank B plus, rank A level, and even sometimes rank B. Like you had a rank B third, maybe. And finding an organization that will pay for you guys regardless of the salary, low salary, no salary type of deal like that, it's always extremely stressful because you don't get any ROI when getting a team like that. So orgs are
Hmm.
not normally going to be looking for those, but with an organization already stat like Team DVS or NXT Esports or even Noxum, it's that communication between the org owner, all the staff members. Like, what do they want from you? What do they want from the team? And you just got to make sure that every line is parallel and is going towards the same destination.
Hmm. So you're kind of the middleman between org members and players.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what then do you think would be your favorite org that you've worked with, or your favorite experience working with an
Oh,
org?
uh, this one's going to become a bit controversial. My
Oh.
favorite experience working for an organization was with Z Speed and Team DVS.
Hmm.
Everybody knows the controversies with Z Speed, and I
Hmm.
have nothing but respect for him because of the respect he showed me. I mean, there has been so many different times that I was given an opportunity when I shouldn't have because I was starting to become lazy. I was starting to become incompetent and extremely complacent. And he gave me opportunity after opportunity, and that is something I will always be grateful for because if I wasn't with Team DVS, I wouldn't be here today in the spot I am now.
Well, all right. Shout out Team DVS. I remember those days. So I'm also curious, what's the most rewarding part of managing? Because I mean, you get to deal with a lot of different people. I'm sure. Is that the best part, or is there some hidden part that you enjoy the most?
The hidden part is the connections. I mean,
Mm.
management scene, although it's very difficult to work with a couple managers, very difficult to work with a couple people that may or may not know what you're doing or what they're supposed to be doing. It does become very difficult, but the connections and the friendships you make along the way has been the most rewarding thing about it. I mean, Lunar, one of my best friends now in the scene, Crave as well. Back with Empty Space when I was managing Crave, dude was like one of my best friends. I'd play Rocket League with him regardless if I was on his level, unlike the team's level or not. So like being able to just make these connections and make these friendships with the players and organizations as well has been nothing but rewarding for me at least.
And with all those connections, all those different teams and orgs that you've worked with, you've been in the bubble scene for a long time, and I'm curious from your perspective, how have you seen it change in the 4+ years that you've been working in the NA bubble?
Uh, I mean, the easiest way to say it is egos. I mean, the
Hmm.
egos have been raising above past the roof. Like, it's in the sky now with some of the egos on these players that shouldn't have egos from my perspective. And I mean, I shouldn't have an ego from my perspective as well, but sometimes you have to in order to work in esports. But at the same time, scheduling scrims with some rosters was just extremely difficult nowadays. Like unlike back then, rank A teams were scrimming B plus teams at sometimes because they saw like some potential in these B plus teams and they'd be willing to help work with them. Especially with all these weekly tournaments as well. Shout out Mythical, playing with Rockets, RBG, Alpine, like all those weekly tournaments that were running. It was much easier to be a manager back then. Now it's kind of a little bit harder because you don't exactly know what you're getting, and all the players that teams that your team wants to scrim,
Hmm.
99% chance they don't want to scrim you.
Huh. Even with the growing size of the bubble scene, it's becoming more difficult to find scrims.
Absolutely, because it's extremely difficult to find, and it's extremely difficult to put a definition on where your team places.
Mm.
Unless you go specifically off placements. But then you also have to factor in experience. You have to factor in chemistry. You have to factor in all of these different factors that a lot of players don't realize. And so when even you think that your team should be scrimming this other team, but that other team is like, yeah, no, we want to only scrim like top 16 teams, and I'm like, team I was managing was probably like top 20 about,
Hmm.
then there's kind of a conflict of interest there, and it becomes really difficult.
And that's kind of become a big talking point about the bubble scene is the lack of teams at the top scrimming teams a little bit below them. Do you think that's why North America's fallen behind at the RLCS stage? I want your opinion here.
I think it's one of the reasons, definitely. I
Hmm.
mean, these top six teams, such as FaZe or well, X FaZe, I guess, the like Gen Gs, these complexities, they shouldn't be scrimming some of the lower rosters, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
sometimes they do, and it's always like those rare filler scrims that you really show that makes the difference on those filler scrims. And but teams in like top 12, as far as I've been able to recognize, they don't want anything to do with the bubble scene. They don't want anything to do with trying to get past and like work together. And EU, literally, I mean, it's been stated so many times. It's always about working together. It's well, not always, but most of the time, it's about working together, trying to achieve the same goal. And I mean, EU has been doing so great, such as also some of the minor regions as well, like Sam, Mina, and OCE. They've been absolutely killing it in terms of trying like scrimming these lower level teams. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I do believe like Falcons and Rule One in
Yeah.
Mina, like they are scrimming a little bit of the lower level teams, like the top 8 in Mina, but also top like 16 or top 24 in NA or EU as well.
Hmm. Interesting. I appreciate that insight there. But I do now want to pivot over to a whole other side of your career, which there are a lot of sides, but this is another pretty major one. I mean, you're wearing the jersey right now. You work for Stockton, go to Stockton, you're the PR manager. Your official title, wrote it down as public relations of community manager. So talk through your experience in that role at Stockton, how you came into it, what it's been like, what the job specifically is.
I mean, I just started it. That's the best way I could put it. This first semester, the
Wow.
fall of 2023, is my first semester as the public relations manager. Because with collegiate esports, I mean, Bepic, you know this. It's always changing. Like
Hmm.
everybody, once they graduate or once they leave the college, you have to find some place to fill that in. That's kind of how I got onto my position.
Gotcha. So what's the role been like? I had it wrong. I thought you started earlier, but you got to Stockton last year, correct?
Yeah, I got to Stockton in fall
Okay.
2022, and it's been not difficult, but it's been fun, actually, is the best way I could put it, because I'm collaborating and communicating with all these different assets, such as different organizations or clubs inside of Stockton. I'm able to help run events and partnerships with these other organizations as well, and it's honestly been a really good time getting these connections and learning a little bit more about Stockton esports from almost any facet as well. Like, we're doing an esports event coming up real soon, and we want to partner with our cosplay club per se, or maybe the Asian Alliance club as well. And we can do different things with that. And I get to learn more about cultures. I get to learn more about all of these different facets that I've never learned about, because it's not out of ignorance, maybe, but also just I haven't been knowledgeable in that.
Gotcha. Good learning experience, it sounds like. So how did you get into the role? You said you're filling someone's shoes. Did you find that your Rocket League team management skills kind of helped you fall into the role as the community PR manager?
Not at all. I mean,
Okay.
some of the communication, yes, but also
Hmm.
I took this last summer to work at Stockton Esports and Stockton University in general as well with one of the coordinators, Frank Causing and Demetrius Rubos, our faculty advisor. Shout out them. They've been nothing but absolute help for me, both mental, emotional, and also just professionally. And it's just been more or less just me trying to learn more about marketing, learn more about how to be a PR representative, and just how to be a better person in the professional esports field as well. Because this industry is very, very dynamic, and anything could change.
Yeah, and speaking of that, and something that's kind of become more popular in the recent years, you have on your resume, you've listed your degree as esports management in the business subdivision. And I really want to know about that because that's not something I'm too knowledgeable about. How did you start that? How long has Stockton offered that kind of degree program?
This is the first year Stockton's offered it since
Wow.
fall 2023. I mean, I hate to say that because it doesn't give the best answers for you, but the Stockton is trying to be a pioneer in so many different facets, especially in esports. I mean, our esports program has been top notch in CRL for the past
Hmm.
2 years. We got second in the fall 20, sorry, World CRL Worlds 2022. We got top 12 in CRL Worlds 2023 this past summer, and it's been absolutely nothing but bliss. I mean, being able to work with all these different professors, work with all these different professionals in helping create the program. I wasn't one of the people that specifically helped create the program, but I've been one that has been able to offer advice here and there, and it's been honestly so fun. But the thing is about the esports degree at Stockton is it's super transferable. It's not just like you can only work in esports. No, but there's a lot of like transferable skills in esports, such as your communication, such as project development, project manager, event development, like hospitality and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They teach you that it's not just one thing. Your degree is transferable between so many different fields and industries.
And that's something I was really interested in learning more about because I was curious just how are there esports specific classes within the program?
Yeah, we currently only have two right now, which is our events and hospitality class, and then also introduction to esports.
Okay.
However, within the next 2 to 3 years, we will, I mean, honestly, even the next 2 to 3 semesters, actually, we will have so many more classes once we get everything up and running. I mean, we did not a soft launch, but we did announce our management degree this year. So this is the first semester you can officially declare as an esports management major,
Oh.
and it's been nothing but fun. I mean, this I'm starting my first week this past week, and I met all the professors, I met everyone that has been behind
Nice.
the scenes on this, and all of them have been working extremely hard. All of them have been working extremely effectively as well to make this a reality. And I'm so happy that I'm in college at the time that this is happening.
Yeah, that is really lucky. I mean, Auburn doesn't have anything like that. I wish they did. I would be all over that. But
You can come to
are
Stockton.
yeah, well, it's a little late for me to transfer. I'm graduating
Fair
in a
enough.
couple months, but
Oh,
maybe
congratulations.
a younger me might have. Though, are you taking any of the esports classes this semester?
Yes, so actually took esports events and hospitality last year with
Okay.
our faculty advisor Demetrius Rubos, and this year this semester I'm taking our introduction to esports class. And as far as I'm aware, it's going to be teaching me all about the financials in esports. It's going to be teaching me, well, at least introductory topics of the financials, behind the scenes management, and everything. And I mean, I've lived it for the past 7 years as well, so
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to use some of that experience to put into the class as well.
So then, if you that class you took last semester, what did you learn? Or what's something interesting that you learned? I know it's hard sometimes to recall specific things, but like, what did you get out of it?
I learned that esports is more transferable than I thought.
Hmm.
I mean, I said it earlier. I thought esports was kind of just it's esports. Like the industry is one thing, and you can't really transfer it out. It's completely false. I mean, there's so many different facets of esports. I mean, Bepic, you've been in esports probably around the same time, or at least a little bit
Yep.
less time than me, and I mean, you can attest to this as well. There's so many different roles. There's so many different opportunities in esports for you to get some experience and maybe even become like just a generalist, which is kind of what I've had to be.
And I mean that yeah, you look at your resume and you absolutely are an esports Swiss Army knife. I mean, you've been a caster now, you coach, tournament organization, statistician work you've done in the past, producing
Yeah.
streams. That there's a lot of experience that you've gained in your time in esports. And I'm wondering, was that the goal coming into your work with esports? Like you wanted to do a little bit of everything? Or was there something you were more focused on, but you branched out as you went?
It's kind of been a little bit of everything that I've always wanted to do. I mean, I said it in my mission statement. If you look on my website, in my bio, it literally says I want to leave an impact on everything I touch. And as I've been given, or not given, but as I've been offered many different opportunities, I kind of just wanted to take it and see where it runs. Because you never know, when one door closes, another door opens. And I'm a genuine believer of that, to where if something's not working out for you, look another way. There's always going to be another field that you can go into. And I think that's especially important when going into college as well. I mean, my best advice, I've only been here for a year, but my best advice is you can always transfer to a different field. Like, obviously, it's going to cost a little bit more money, probably, if you're in America. If you're in Canada, you have free college. Congratulations, I wish. But, like, you can always transfer out, and there's always a new opportunity for you on the horizon, definitely.
So of all positions you've done, do you have a favorite?
Caster. I mean,
All
casting
right.
has been one of my favorite positions I've ever done, and this is probably something I want to continue for years on. If I can make it a full time career, I would love to. If I can make it even going into a host role, I would love to do that. I've been told too many times that I have the voice for it, and I have kind of the rasp and the deepness of my voice, and that may not correlate with the casting I do now, but I definitely want to incorporate my personal voice into better casting, and I want to be able to kind of develop my own voice in the scene. Because I mean, Bepic, you know more than anyone that becoming an independent person in the scene and having an outstanding part is extremely difficult, and it's something that I want to work towards. I'm only less than a year in for casting, like
Mhm.
part time, and I think with the experience and the mentors I have had in casting, I could definitely go forward, and hopefully, not hopefully, I know that I will be able to improve well enough to where I could start making my footmark in the scene as well.
So how's the experience been? What actually? Let's start with what made you get into casting, because I do want to dive into this a little bit. I'm a little
Mhm.
biased, but I do enjoy the casting side of esports. So why'd you want to start becoming a broadcast talent?
Watching people like Bass from the Past, Danger
Mm-hmm.
Taco, MrBepic, Whoops You, Herc. Two of my biggest inspirations though have been Stacks and also Jorby. I
Mm-hmm.
know that's maybe Stacks and Jorby isn't the pairing most people think of when you go into esports, but Stacks has been one for hosting for me and like being that kind of central voice of Rocket League esports. I mean, dude's probably one of the best announcers
Oh yeah.
in esports in general, and he has such a good voice and such a great talent that I want to be able to do something similar to what Stacks does. And Jorby just has fun with it. Like, he loves what he does, and he is the passion he brings into all of his casts, the excitement he brings in his voice, and that's something that I've wanted to learn how to do in so many different times. And now that I'm becoming a caster, I mean, they've been able to inspire me for almost everything.
And how have you liked it so far? Casting any fun moments?
Some of my fun moments was messing around with Whoops You. Definitely on a couple of the draw casts has been fun messing with Whoops You, going back and forth on predictions. I think that's one of my favorite parts about casting is doing those on-hand predictions as well. Trying to see, is T-Bates never wrong? Is Whoops You never wrong? Who's it going to be that's never wrong on a cast? I think that's always going to be, it's one of my favorite moments in casting.
I love it. Casting is so much fun. I'm glad that people like you wanna come join us, because Rocket League is such good talent, and the we talk about the depth of players in the Rocket League scene. We got a deep pool of casters. I mean, you've worked the draw. You've worked, I think, some Herc's events as well.
I've not worked Herc's events as a caster.
Okay.
I've worked them as a match admin though, and a tournament organizer behind the scene.
Okay, that's on me for getting the roles mixed up.
No,
It's so
no,
easy
that's
with
fine.
you being the Swiss Army knife, working all those different roles. And among all those roles, do you have any other fun stories that you'd love to share? Because I'm sure that you've got several several fun things that have happened in the past.
One of my favorite stories is with playing with Rockets. I gotta see if I remember this correctly because it's been almost 4 to 5 years since I've last worked. Well, not last, but when I started with playing with Rockets, it was about 4 to 5 years ago.
Wow.
And coming up into playing with Rockets with Ryan and Aldino, or Jade as she is known now, it was one of my favorite moments. I just DM Ryan, yo, dude, I want to get into tournament operating. Can you help me? And he had no idea who I was. I never competed in his tournaments. I never watched his tournaments. I just saw playing with Rockets, and I saw how small that their staff was, and I was just like, dude, I'd love to just lend a hand. 13, 14 years old. I just want to lend a hand to that.
Wow.
And overall, it's just been one of my favorite memories is working with them on the takeoff series for playing with Rockets. Working with them has been was nothing but absolute fun and enjoyment.
That's awesome. Some of my fondest memories as well come from the very beginning. I don't know why that is, but it's just something about the innocent esports mind.
The simpler times when you didn't know anything behind the scenes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those were the days. But Kevdog, I appreciate you joining me. That was some fun we just had, and I have to shout out as well. We mentioned it before the interview started, but those trophies behind you, congratulations to Stockton, and I'm sure you've had a big part in getting those trophies on the shelf.
I had much smaller part than you'd think, my friend. No, I worked behind the scenes as kind of their talent manager last year. I did behind the scenes work for event planning and everything, and I'm continuing that role this year as well. However, those tournaments, those trophies up there, that's all because of the players. I mean, all the players that have worked and played for Stockton have been nothing but awesome, especially our Rocket League team these past couple years. Bussy deserves probably some of the utmost respect from everyone in the scene because he's one of the hardest working people I know. Same with Top Cheese, same with Drip, and also same with Anthony. They have been nothing but some of the best and hard working people I have known since I've gotten to Stockton, and it's been honestly extremely fun to just watch.
You get a front row seat to one of the best shows in collegiate Rocket League. So
CRL's taking over RLCS. I don't know what anyone wants. It's gonna happen.
All right, you heard it here first. But Kevdog, before we do end the interview, do you have any shout outs for, yourself, events in general that you think people should watch? Feel free to plug anything and everything right here.
I can't say much about it right now. Just watch out for my Twitter at KevdogCasts, and watch out for my Twitch because there is going to be a series of something coming up real soon. I can't announce it just yet because the announcement hasn't gotten out, but I'm joining an organization as a content creator, and I'm also starting something real soon in October, so make sure you watch out for that. Bubble Scene, definitely going to be something that you want to watch out for. And yeah, I appreciate your time, Mr. Bepic. It's been honestly an absolute pleasure to do this interview with you.
All right, I love the teaser. Now I'm excited. I gotta pay attention to your Twitter even more now. So, Kevdog, once again, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
All right, and that concludes my interview with Kevdog. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter for more interviews with incredibly interesting esports personalities like Kevdog here. But until next time, MrBepic. All right, sweet.